I want to revisit the topic of growth, height, and nutrition. And the reason why is, for those of you that follow me, I am a pediatrician here in Castle Rock. My career before I owned my own practice was I was a full-time pediatric hospitalist and pediatric ER physician. And when I went into private practice, I specialize in a lot of very medically complex children. So I receive a lot of children who are discharged from the NICU, kids with neurocognitive and developmental disabilities, kids who are technology dependent, and kids with lots of complex behavioral issues as well. All of these things impact nutrition, growth, and height. And so this topic in my office is very big, and I have lots of parents who follow me who are also very worried about this topic with their kids. Why should we worry about linear growth? I mean, ideally, we should all be happy with how tall we are, and that's true. However, healthy linear growth is directly correlated with neurodevelopmental health and overall childhood health and well-being. So while I'm not focused on necessarily how particularly tall any child will be, because that is mostly genetically determined, I am very focused on what we can control and what we can do to optimize the impact of the environment that we raise our kids in to maximize this potential, not because anybody needs to be any particular height. What makes the discussion of this topic complicated is that growth is very, very multifactorial and complicated. It is a classic situation of there is a huge genetically determined potential that has to do with the height of your parents. And I made a whole video on, there is a calculation that you can look up online called your mid-parental height calculator, which is a very good and accurate prediction of your kid's genetic potential for adult height. However, there are very many deeply influential epigenetic factors, meaning environmental factors that directly express how this genetic potential comes to be realized. This has been studied, obviously, because across the world, because there are many, many countries that are underserved, many countries where children live under chronic stress and nutritional stress and life stress, and how that influences these genetic factors. So the most deeply influential environmental factors that we know impact the expression of genetic growth are psychosocial stress, things like adverse childhood events, severe ongoing anxiety, depression, environmental, family factors that can't always necessarily be controlled for. And then, of course, the impact of healthy nutrition and how that is impacted by sleep, exercise, and lifestyle. So there is obviously a very sophisticated interplay here. But one thing that is clear is that nutrition plays a very, very important role in prenatal growth, which affects ultimately expression of growth outside the womb. But throughout early childhood and adolescence, a child's nutritional environment and nutritional adequacy directly influences how the genes of growth are expressed. So to simplify it, our nutritional impact on growth can be easily understood between macronutrients, which are proteins, fats, carbohydrates, and micronutrients, which as we normally refer to as just vitamins and minerals. And that there is also a complex interplay between the two of them, and that when this is studied, it's clear there are some patterns that we can understand about how our nutritional environment for our kids impacts the realization and optimization of linear growth. So first, macronutrients. There is no question, and it has been proven time and again, proteins and amino acids have by far the most important impact on the realization of our linear growth. They seem to actually also stimulate the hormonal and provide the substrate for the genetically determined hormonal matrix that optimizes how our bones and our bone cells function, ossify, and reproduce. So by far the most impactful macronutrients are proteins and amino acids. And when it comes to micronutrients, studies are a little bit harder because it's clear that single micronutrient supplementation seems to have disappointing effects on huge impact of differences in linear growth, but clearly an environment of multiple important micronutrients has a positive impact. Over and over again, they seem to be the same basic micronutrients. You need zinc, vitamin D, calcium, and vitamin A. all those readily available in most of the foods that we feed our kids. So why has this become a big topic in my practice, and how have I approached this in the office when kids need help? So many of our kids in the early childhood and toddler years, for lots of reasons, struggle with food, and also makes us as parents anxious about their ability to get adequate nutrition, to making sure that they're achieving healthy growth, not because we need them to be a particular height number. These are things like anxiety, things like childhood stress that we can't always control, divorces, psychosocial things that we can't necessarily account for in the home, but nonetheless happen, neurodevelopmental issues, autism, sensory disorders which affect their relationship with food and ability to eat, an adequate variety. And so there are many things that impact this, and children at different stages will sometimes, not all, but sometimes need help with this, healthy supplementation, while they are also working on these other things to improve, to gain a healthy relationship with food and eat a normal variety of food normally that supports health. Like a lot of other providers and doctors, I usually went with things like Pediasure or Kate Farms if it was prescribed by a dietitian in the hospital. But what I found is that as someone who's become more aware of the quality of ingredients, impact of excess sugar, processing, and negative impact of inflammatory seed oils and other things that I don't like in my diet, I began to scrutinize more the products that I recommend and what I offer families and kids who need help in this area, whether they're toddlers or whether they're teenagers. A family introduced me to a product that I've been using more and more for this purpose in the office. I've really started using this product by True Height. I'm not compensated by True Height. I'm just telling you what I do. And the reason why I like it is because of, one, the micronutrient balance clearly reflects the optimal micronutrients that are seen in nutritional studies. Two, the ingredients are clean. There's no added sugars, and there's way less sugar than the competing products. And the kids that I give it to like it. They also have a micronutrient bone growth sort of gummy supplement as well. I use this a lot more in teenagers who come to me and go, hey, what else can I do with my nutrition to make sure that I'm getting enough to be as tall as I want to be? I want to differentiate this from toddler formulas. I know that there's been a lot in the news from the AAP about toddlers don't need toddler formula, and that's true. But toddlers who are struggling because of significant special needs, whether it be anxiety, sensory, neurodevelopment, autism, feeding issues, will often need help to optimize their nutrition to support healthy growth while they are working through those issues, whether that's with therapy, feeding therapy, all the ways that we use to help toddlers with eating. So I wanted to make people know that this is out there, that I think that it is well tolerated. Kids love it. The other thing that this company happened to do is that they did an actual clinical trial where they were able to demonstrate biomarker presence of linear bone growth called collagen X in kids who were using their supplements. So there is also some objective data that it actually works. So I'm always open to questions. Love to talk about this topic. Happy to respond. And everyone have a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend.